All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're basically popping the hood on the most powerful computer you'll ever use, your own brain. We're going to talk about what it means when that brain has what's called neurodivergent wiring, and more importantly, how to see it not as a flaw, but as a totally unique piece of hardware with its own special operating system.
You know that feeling, right? You have a plan. You know exactly what you want to do. But then, when it's time to actually do the thing, something just gets lost. The output just doesn't match the input. And that gap, man, it can be so frustrating. For a lot of people, it becomes this source of deep self-blame. You start thinking there's something fundamentally wrong with you. But what if that's not it at all? What if that's the wrong diagnosis?
Okay, so to really get this, we first need to do a hard reset. We have to strip away all the junk code, all the guilt, the shame, the years of maybe feeling like you just don't fit. We're going to start with a super simple, undeniable proof as our new foundation.
This is as basic as it gets. In the binary language of computers, it's all ones and zeros. On or off. Yes or no. So let's apply that right here. Option 1, you are here. Option 0, you are not here. Right now, at this very moment, you are processing this information. Your brain is working, your eyes are moving, the very act of you doing this proves it. So, for you, right now, the answer is 1. 1 equals true.
And that might sound kind of trivial, but I promise you it's everything. It means you are a real physical being, present in reality. Before we analyze anything else, this is our solid ground. You are here, period. We start from there. So if you exist and you're trying your best, where does that frustrating gap between what you want to do and what you actually do come from? Well, for a long time, the default answer has been that it's a personal failing, a glitch in the user. But let's really challenge that idea.
So on one hand, you've got the old story. You know the one. It's that voice that says, I'm lazy or I'm broken, I'm just not trying hard enough. This is the story that so many people with neurodivergence internalize after years of feeling different without knowing why. But on the other hand, there's a totally new way to look at it. It doesn't point the finger at the person, it looks at the machinery. It says, hey, maybe this isn't a character flaw. Maybe it's a systems engineering issue.
This one line right here, it reframes everything. When what you want to do doesn't match up with what you actually do, it is not proof that the operator, that's you, your consciousness, is broken. No, it's a data point. It's a signal that the hardware you're running on is misaligned with the task or the environment. It's a calibration issue, not a moral failure.
Okay, so let's dig into this idea a little more. This central metaphor, hardware versus the operator, is really the key to unlocking this whole new way of thinking. And honestly, a whole new way of understanding yourself.
So what are we really talking about here? Well, the hardware, that's your neurotype. It's the physical wiring of your brain that you were born with. This is not something you develop, it's just how your system is built. The operator, well, that's you. It's your consciousness, your will, your intentions. You're the one at the controls. See, the problem isn't that the operator is bad at their job. The problem is they were handed a user manual for a completely different machine. And this mismatch, it shows up in the real world in a big way. This isn't just some abstract idea. It has huge consequences. The unemployment rate for neurodivergent adults is estimated to be somewhere between 30 and 40%. That is staggering. And it's not a reflection of their talent or intelligence. It's a reflection of a world that was largely built for one type of hardware, which creates these massive barriers for anyone running a different system. So what happens when you spend years, maybe even decades, blaming the operator for what are actually hardware issues? Well, you generate a lot of a very specific byproduct, a totally useless, energy-draining process that we're going to redefine right now: shame. In this new framework, we're going to stop thinking of shame as a feeling. It's a technical problem. We'll even give it a variable, sigma. And here's the definition. It's the recursive reprocessing of failure data after all the useful information has already been pulled from it. Think about it like a computer program that's stuck in an infinite loop, just running the same error report over and over again, even though the bug's already been found. It produces nothing new, it solves zero problems. And it's actually worse than useless. It is costly. For every little bit of processing power your brain spends on shame, your available mental energy is reduced by exactly that same amount. It is a one-for-one drain on your cognitive resources. It doesn't just take up space, it actively eats the fuel you need to think, to solve problems, and just to live your life.
So this is the key takeaway here. That feeling of shame, it's not some necessary punishment for your mistakes. It's not a sign that you have a good conscience. It is a system malfunction.
It is pure waste heat, a byproduct of a computer burning its own fuel on a self-destructive loop instead of doing productive work. And just like any system bug, you can fix it.
Okay, so how do we stop that shame loop? How do we vent all that waste heat? Well, the system manual has a very specific tool for this. It's a diagnostic and repair protocol called the flush protocol.
This is your practical step-by-step tool. First, you isolate the specific event. No more of these vague stories like, "I'm just a mess." Get specific about what happened. Second, you strip away the emotion in the blame. Separate what the operator intended to do from what the overwhelmed hardware actually did. Third, you archive the lesson. What was the trigger? What can you learn from this? This turns guilt into useful data. And finally, you flush. The lesson is saved. The rest is just noise. You let it go.
Now, I gotta be real. Running this protocol doesn't mean you'll never face these challenges again. Progress isn't a straight line. It's more like a spiral.
Think of it like this. You're going to pass over the same ground again. The same triggers will pop up, but it is not regression. You're on a spiral, passing over that familiar territory, but at a higher elevation each time. The difference is that this time, you have tools. You have the manual. You have a new understanding of your hardware. You're better equipped for the storm.
And you can actually see real evidence that this spiral is working. It's not about the pain just magically stopping overnight. It's about you recovering and getting back to your baseline faster than you used to. It's about noticing you're getting overwhelmed earlier in the process. It's about reaching for a tool like the flush protocol instead of just bracing for impact. Those are the real signs of progress.
So we'll end with this question. Understanding your own system isn't just about feeling better. It's about reclaiming your resources. Think about all that energy, all that incredible processing power that's been wasted, just consumed by these shame loops. What happens when you redirect it? When you stop burning fuel on those internal battles and you point all that power outwards? That isn't just recovery. That's potential unlocked.